Hello everyone, and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're serving up a review of the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Imperial Royal Guard 6-inch scale action figure. This figure is available for pre-order from Towering Toys. For all your toy and collecting needs, visit toweringtoys.com. There is a link down below. Alright, so the Red Guard is something that is huge amongst Star Wars collectors and probably Star Wars fans that don't even collect a whole lot, I would assume. It's just an awesome character design, and they totally got it right back in 1983 for Return of the Jedi. And it's been great to see this character design come back in Revenge of the Sith and then in Rogue One. And the 3 3/4-inch Black Series version, which was the re-release from the Vintage Collection, has consistently sold like hotcakes on Walmart.com. I myself got 6 of them because that's how many protected the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, at least. So I had to get 6. For the 6-inch version, I don't know that I'm going to get 6, but I'm starting off with 2, and I have 2 more on the way, so 4. That might be enough. In any case, the packaging here, as you can see, is the same thing that we've been seeing for the last 2 years. This is number 38 in the current continuity of 6-inch Black Series figures. At the back, we get the same render of the character that we see on the front. Resplendent in crimson robes and armor, the Imperial Royal Guard protected the Emperor. Secrecy shrouded the Guard, with rumors abounding about the Sentinels' backgrounds and combat capabilities. So we don't know all that's going on with the Royal Guards. I mean, they're a very secretive organization, and they protect the Emperor at all costs. And Darth Vader, as we saw in Rogue One. They protect the Imperial family. Maybe that's why they changed the name from Emperor's Royal Guard to Imperial Royal Guard. At least that's my assumption. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take some time, get the figure out of the packaging. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the Imperial Royal Guard. Alright you guys, now here is the Royal Guard out of the packaging, and you can already tell how much I'm liking this figure because I'm getting kind of eager with the accessories. It's a really nice looking figure. Now by nature, the soft goods are going to be kind of hard to work with, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the fabric or the way that it drapes, because I find that it's a very nice fabric and it drapes quite nicely. But just because of the nature of soft goods on a plastic toy, you're going to have to kind of play with it in order to get that aesthetic that you're looking for. And you can see that it is a little bit wrinkled down at the bottom. Maybe those will come out in time. I'm not too optimistic because I have had this particular one out of the packaging for a few weeks now. So I might ultimately have to end up ironing it or something. But the figure does look really good. It's an ominous red guard, and I find that the material that they used for that fabric does look very much like what we saw in the film. So that is a good attention to detail. My biggest concern is that the fabric's going to be a little bit bulky and it's going to end up overshadowing the Emperor a little bit. So hopefully that's not the case, but we'll take a look at that all in just a little bit. The coloring though here is just a very nice crimson. Online, if you look at photos, it kind of looks like the helmet and the robe kind of don't match up 100%. In person, you don't really see that. It looks pretty consistent between the plastic and the soft goods. Here's an up-close look at the Royal Guard, and I think that it looks quite good. The sculpt is definitely there. Not that that's really surprising. Hasbro usually does a really good job getting the sculpt right on the Royal Guard figures. This looks a lot like the Vintage Collection version that came out in the 3 3/4-inch line, and that makes me happy because that's a 100% solid figure. And this just looks really good no matter how you angle it. It looks very screen accurate. It's a simplistic design, even though it looks so awesome. It's just a very simple design at the heart of it, but I think that they executed it flawlessly. Looks very, very nice. And again, these soft robes here are very nice looking. I mean, it's got a very nice feel too. It's got a little bit of an elasticity, not a whole lot, so I do assume there is some polyester interwoven in there. And again, it does have a pretty nice flow to it. You can see that it's not stiff. It does conform to the body pretty well. There is a little bit more material here at the back than what you get at the front. And it's when you lift up his skirt, so to speak, that you see all of the awesome sculpted details. Sorry, man. No, you can't see back there. It's got all of the sculpted detail in there. And this looks phenomenal. I mean, it's exactly what we saw with the 3 3/4-inch figure, where they went above and beyond. And they've been doing that since 2005. If you go back to the Revenge of the Sith figure from 2005 of this character, it was very much like that, where it had the sculpted look underneath it. So I think that looks really good. Now, I especially like how they use the different shades of red. Like you have this more vibrant red plastic there in the center and on the legs. But then you also have this deeper color here for the sleeves and for the pants and underneath the armor. I think that that's really nice. And that's not something we want to see when you have it like that. And you don't. You only see it when you have it like this. So that's really, really cool. And all of those details are very nicely captured on there. Even though this is never something we saw in the film, it is really cool that you have all of that underneath there. You know, it's not just a solid statue or a solid piece. It looks really good. And like I said, they did a really good job sculpting all of this and integrating all of these details into the armor. Even like this here, you have a soft pliable plastic for his cod piece, and that seems to work pretty nice. Same here at the back. You can tell that that belt with its holster are separately sculpted pieces. And this is also like kind of like a softer plastic here on the legs. I do find that the joints seem to be a little bit kind of loose there in the legs, particularly the right leg. So that is a little bit troublesome. But like I said, aesthetically speaking, this is 100% solid. Really, really liking what I see here. Now, I do have one gripe, and that's that the head is non-removable. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, we never saw it without the helmet on in the films. But it would be nice if they made it at least easier to pop this off. That way, you know, if you wanted to just play it without the cloak and have a really cool looking figure, you could do that. But as it is, they don't make it easy to remove that helmet. So I have seen where some people have gotten it to come off with some heat and whatnot, but I kind of feel like I just would have preferred them to have made it like that, ready to come off out of the packaging. It's not a big deal, but you know, just something that would have really elevated this figure above and beyond. But as it is, it's a really good looking figure through and through. Now, in terms of articulation, you do have a ball hinge here at the head. Now, you can't really do too much with it because it's just going to be like kind of on there. You can turn it side to side a little bit like that, and you can kind of go up and down since it does have the bend there at the neck, but not a whole lot of movement, just a very minimal amount. Now, where you do have all the articulation, of course, is back when we go here underneath here. You're going to see that he has the ball hinging at both of these shoulders, and it actually just seems to like go right underneath the shoulder, so that's quite nice. You also have your bends and swivels at both of the elbows, and you can get a good amount of movement from that. Here at both of the wrists, you can bend and swivel those as well, and this one goes up and down, and the one on the left hand goes up and down as well. You have a ball joint here at the torso. You move side to side pretty well. Up and down is okay. It's not anything remarkable, but it will help with posability. Here up at the hips, you do have your ball hinging. They go out about that much. Not a complete split, but seems to be sufficient. You can move them forward pretty much all the way, almost all the way. And you can see where that's kind of like a loose leg joint right there. You get your swivels at both of the thighs. You get your double bends here at both of the knees. Very nice. And then you get your bend there and rocker swivel at both of the ankles. So very nicely articulated, very much on par with what we've seen in the 6-inch Black Series line. So that's pretty good. In terms of accessories, you do get this little Scout Trooper style blaster pistol. And it is very small. It is very simple. And it does fit into the holster very nicely. Pretty secure in there. You also get the staff, and of course this is an obvious accessory for the Royal Guard, and it looks good. It has a nice sculpt to it. You can see that there's some nice little details in here, and it is painted very well as well. You have the darker gray, and you have the more silver look to it there. And when you put it in his hand, you kind of have to just play with it a little bit. Basically, you need to cup the bottom part of the staff into his hand, just kind of like that. And then you rotate it back until it leans on his shoulder like that. So it's not a very natural inclination, but once you figure out how to do it, you can get it in there. You can kind of just adjust it a little bit to your liking. I think it's a very nice aesthetic. He looks good holding that staff, and when you adjust the soft goods to your liking, I think that it's a very nice aesthetic. I think it looks pretty film accurate. Then we throw the Emperor in there, and you can see how they scale up. Seems to be pretty accurate to the film, to my recollection. And of course, the Royal Guard, just given the nature of the soft goods, it is a little bit bulky. Perhaps a little bit more than in the film. If so, it is a pretty marginal difference. And then we'll go ahead and throw in another Red Guard in order to flank the Emperor. And it is somewhat like I feared that maybe they would kind of overshadow him just a little bit. But to make up for that, all you really need to do is move your Emperor forward a little bit, and you don't quite have that issue as much. One thing I did want to bring up is that if you look at both of my Royal Guards here side by side, you can see that this one has some bulk to it above the right shoulder. And the reasoning for that is that the seam underneath right here is pretty big. As you can see, there's a lot of material and stitching going on down there. Now, if you look at the other figure, it's a lot cleaner. You don't have the bump there, and if you lift it up, you can see that that seam is a lot smaller. Like it's definitely stitched better, and it doesn't have any bulk to it whatsoever. But unfortunately, this one just has that really big seam in there. So unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot I can do about that, I don't think. So just something to be aware of. I don't think there's really a way to know whether or not you're going to get a figure that looks like that, but just a heads up that that could happen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Imperial Royal Guard 6-inch action figure. Overall, you guys, I am thoroughly, very happy with this figure. I think that it looks fantastic. The aesthetics here are exactly as you would expect. The soft goods, although a little bit on the bulky side, are made of a very nice material that does drape very nicely on the figure's body. Of course, the figure really shines when you pull back his cloak and see all of the awesome detail underneath. The sculpted armor with the different shades of red. I think that looks really cool. The figure's articulated very nicely. You can move all of those joints, except for the head. That is a little bit restrictive, which is understandable. Again, I do wish that they would have made the head easier to remove so that you could display it without the cloak. But if you're creative, you can find ways to remove it or to pose it with the cloak in different configurations, because you do want to appreciate all that armor underneath. It's very nice looking. The blaster's nice. He holds it in his left hand fine. The staff's nice. He seems to hold it quite well once you get it dialed in just right. Overall, it's a very solid figure. In fact, I would peg this as a top 5 Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch action figure. If you're like me, then you're going to need to get more than one. That's just the way that it is. Especially with the red guard, such a simple yet very elegant and awesome looking character design. So definitely go ahead and get this. You need to have this in your collection. Like I said, top 5 Black Series figure. I'm very happy with it, and I'm sure you will be too. Alright my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If so, do give us a like, do subscribe, let me know your own thoughts down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, my friends, bye-bye.